El Chapo has been on a crusade since arriving at the Supermax in Colorado, a jailbreak that no one has ever succeeded in pulling off.
Prisons are built to hold the world's most dangerous men. Fortresses of steel, concrete, and fear. Some, like Alcatraz or the Maze, became legends when desperate prisoners outsmarted their walls. Others, like Black Dolphin in Russia or Secot in El Salvador, stand as unbreakable monuments to control, where no escape has ever succeeded. Yet history reminds us, no matter how high the walls or how tight the chains, the human spirit never stops searching for freedom. Let's break down which prisons were breached and how prisoners masterminded and executed some of the boldest escape plans in history. 1. El Chapo, Altiplano Prison, Mexico, 2015. In July 2015, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the world's most notorious drug lord, pulled off one of the most daring escapes in modern history. Locked inside Altiplano, Mexico's highest security prison, he was supposed to be untouchable. Cameras tracked every move, guards watched constantly, and the prison was designed to be escape-proof. But El Chapo was not just another prisoner. His cartel had mastered the art of building tunnels, across borders, under cities, through mountains, and this time they built one for him. The key was his cell's shower. That night, cameras recorded him walking inside. Minutes passed, then hours, but he never came back out. What guards didn't know was that under those tiles lay a secret entrance. Beneath Altiplano, engineers had dug a mile-long tunnel, equipped with lighting, ventilation, and even a small motorcycle on rails. The tunnel began at a nearby construction site and ended with perfect precision under his shower floor.
El Chapo escape fears are not unfounded. He tunneled out of the last Mexican prison where he was locked up and rode to freedom on an underground motorcycle. That was his second escape.
El Chapo climbed down, mounted the rail cart, and vanished into the darkness. By the time authorities sounded the alarm, he was already gone. The escape humiliated Mexico's government, sparking global headlines. How could the most dangerous man alive simply disappear? For 6 months, El Chapo was free, hidden in mountains, protected by his cartel, and still running his empire. But in January 2016, Mexican Marines stormed one of his safe houses and recaptured him after a gun battle. This time, officials didn't take chances. He was extradited to the United States in 2017 and locked inside ADX Florence, America's Alcatraz of the Rockies, a prison so secure that even El Chapo will never tunnel his way out again. 2. Alcatraz, USA, 1962. Alcatraz, America's most feared prison, perched on a lonely island in San Francisco Bay, was designed to be escape-proof. The freezing waters, strong currents, and armed guards made sure of it. But in June 1962, 3 men dared to challenge the impossible. Their names were Frank Morris, a career criminal with a brilliant mind, and the Anglin brothers, Clarence and John, skilled bank robbers. Together, they crafted one of history's greatest prison break stories. For months, they worked in secret. With nothing more than stolen spoons, homemade drills, and pure patience, they chipped away at the crumbling concrete around the vents in their cells. To hide the holes, they painted cardboard to look like the prison walls and cleverly placed them over their work. Each night, they widened the tunnels, crawling into a hidden utility corridor behind their cells. But escaping their cells was only half the battle. They needed time. They needed cover. So they built life-size dummy heads from soap, toilet paper, and real hair taken from the prison barbershop. On the night of the escape, they placed the heads on their pillows, giving the illusion they were sleeping soundly. That night, June 11th, 1962, the 3 men crawled through their tunnels into the corridor, climbed up a utility shaft, and reached the prison roof. From there, they made their way down to the shoreline, where their final invention waited, a makeshift raft and life vests fashioned out of stolen raincoats. Under cover of darkness, they pushed into the icy bay. By morning, Alcatraz guards discovered the ruse. The dummies fooled them, just long enough for the men to vanish. Officially, the escapees were never found. Missing, presumed drowned. But to this day, no bodies were ever recovered. The question remains, did they die in the cold waters, or did they truly pull off the impossible escape from Alcatraz? 3. La Santé Prison, France, 2001. In the heart of Paris stands La Santé Prison, one of France's most infamous high-security jails. Its walls are thick, its gates ironclad, and its watchtowers constantly manned. To the French government, it was unbreakable. But to one man, Pascal Payet, a convicted murderer, it was just another challenge. On a warm day in October 2001, the impossible happened. Out of the sky, a hijacked helicopter swooped over the prison yard, landing with surgical precision. Guards froze in shock. Before anyone could react, Payet climbed aboard, lifted high above the prison walls, and disappeared into the clouds. The escape was so daring, so cinematic, it felt like something ripped from a Hollywood thriller. But Payet wasn't finished. Incredibly, he organized 2 more helicopter escapes. In 2003, while still free, he returned with another hijacked helicopter to rescue fellow inmates. And in 2007, while serving his sentence in Grasse prison, his associates once again stormed the skies, landing inside the prison yard to pluck him out. Each escape humiliated French authorities, who realized that no wall was tall enough when the sky itself could be used as a door. Payet became a legend, France's helicopter bandit. His freedom, however, never lasted long. Each time he was eventually tracked down, recaptured, and returned behind bars. Today, Pascal Payet remains under heavy guard, with stricter conditions ensuring he'll never fly away again. Still, his story stands as one of the most unbelievable prison escapes in modern history. A man who quite literally rose above the walls that were meant to keep him in. 4. Maze Prison, Northern Ireland, 1983. The Maze Prison in Northern Ireland was considered one of the most secure prisons in all of Europe. Built to house paramilitary prisoners during the Troubles, its high walls, watchtowers, and armed guards made it a fortress. But on September 25, 1983, that fortress was breached in what would become the largest prison escape in UK history. The masterminds were members of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, IRA, 38 prisoners determined to break free. Their plan was bold, detailed, and ruthless. Over weeks, weapons were smuggled inside: pistols, knives, and makeshift tools, hidden in food supplies and delivered by sympathetic contacts. On the day of the escape, the prisoners made their move. They overpowered guards, taking control of an entire block. At gunpoint, officers were forced to comply while others were bound and locked away. The prisoners then hijacked a delivery lorry that was scheduled to leave the compound. As the truck rolled toward the main gate, the plan nearly fell apart. Guards became suspicious, a struggle broke out, and gunfire erupted. In the chaos, one officer was stabbed, and others were shot and wounded. But the lorry smashed through, carrying dozens of IRA men with it. By nightfall, 38 prisoners had broken free. The countryside erupted with roadblocks, helicopters, and soldiers hunting them down. Within days, most were recaptured, but 19 managed to stay free for years, some even escaping Ireland entirely. The Maze prison escape was more than just a jailbreak. It was a political earthquake. To the IRA, it was a victory against British authority. To the government, it was a national embarrassment. Even today, the Maze escape remains a symbol of daring, defiance, and the lengths men will go to for their cause. 5. Stalag Luft. 3. Germany, 1944. The Great Escape. During the darkest days of World War II, deep in Nazi-occupied Poland, stood Stalag Luft 3, a German prison camp built for captured Allied airmen. Surrounded by barbed wire, guard towers, and floodlights, it was designed to be escape-proof. But the prisoners inside were determined to prove otherwise. In 1943, under the leadership of Royal Air Force officer Roger Bushell, they began planning an escape on a scale the world had never seen. Their goal was not just to break free, it was to cause chaos, forcing Germany to divert troops and resources to chase them. The plan was ambitious: dig not 1 but 3 massive tunnels, nicknamed Tom, Dick, and Harry. Using tin cans, wooden boards, and stolen tools, the airmen worked in secret. The tunnels were reinforced with bed slats, ventilated with pumps made from scraps, and lit with wiring stolen from the camp. Every handful of soil was secretly scattered across the camp, hidden in their trousers. On the night of March 24, 1944, The escape began. One by one, men crawled through the tunnel. Harry, emerging beyond the wire into the forest. 76 prisoners managed to slip into the night before the guards discovered the plan. But freedom was short-lived. A massive manhunt was launched across Germany. Within weeks, 73 were recaptured. In a brutal act of defiance, Hitler ordered 50 of them executed, a war crime that shocked the world. Only 3 men, 2 Norwegians and 1 Dutchman, successfully reached freedom. The Great Escape became more than just a prison break. It was a story of courage, ingenuity, and sacrifice. Proof that even behind the barbed wire of tyranny, the human spirit refuses to be caged. 6. Sobibor Death Camp, Poland, 1943. In the bleak forests of Nazi-occupied Poland, hidden from the world, stood Sobibor, one of Hitler's most secret extermination camps. Unlike other prisons, Sobibor was not built to hold men for long. It was designed for death. Tens of thousands of Jews perished here, their stories silenced behind barbed wire and watchtowers. But in October 1943, the prisoners of Sobibor chose to fight back. Led by Alexander Pechersky, a Soviet Jewish officer, and a small group of resistance members, the inmates devised a desperate plan. They knew they could not simply slip away. Sobibor was surrounded by barbed wire, armed guards, and minefields. Their only chance was to strike first. On the afternoon of October 14, 1943, the rebellion began. Prisoners lured SS officers and guards into workshops under the pretense of repairing boots and uniforms. Once inside, they were ambushed, killed with axes, knives, and stolen weapons. One by one, key officers were eliminated. The goal was simple: sow chaos and cut off German command before launching the breakout. As gunfire erupted, hundreds of prisoners surged toward the fences. Some were gunned down, others were blown apart in the minefields, but desperation drove them forward. Out of roughly 600 prisoners, about 300 made it past the camp's perimeter, scattering into the woods. The Nazis retaliated savagely, hunting down escapees for weeks. Many were captured or killed, but around 50 men and women survived the war, carrying with them the story of courage born from despair. The escape at Sobibor was not just a bid for freedom, it was an act of defiance, a declaration that even in a place built for death, the human will to resist could not be extinguished. 7. Pollsmoor Prison, South Africa, 1980s. In the heart of Cape Town stands Pollsmoor Prison, a vast fortress of concrete and iron. By the 1980s, it had earned a reputation as one of South Africa's toughest and most overcrowded prisons. It was here that Nelson Mandela was transferred in 1982 after spending nearly 2 decades on Robben Island. For Mandela, Pollsmoor was not an escape story, but his presence there meant the prison became a place of intense scrutiny. Every transfer, every movement was wrapped in secrecy and heavy security. Authorities feared that anti-apartheid fighters might attempt a daring rescue. None came, but the fear of it was constant. While Mandela remained firmly under lock and key, other inmates saw Pollsmoor as a battlefield of desperation. Escape attempts became the whispered dreams of those who refused to surrender. Some prisoners smuggled in handmade tools, chiseling at concrete walls or breaking bars in the dead of night. Others relied on corrupt guards, bribed with money, favors, or promises from gangs on the outside. One infamous method involved prisoners hiding inside food delivery trucks, waiting until the gates opened, then slipping away into Cape Town's crowded streets. A handful managed to break free this way, vanishing before alarms rang. Yet for most, Pollsmoor remained unbreakable. Its towering walls, razor wire, and layers of armed security made sure of it. Even those who escaped were often hunted down and returned. Pollsmoor's story is one of contrasts, a prison where the world's most famous freedom fighter, Nelson Mandela, was kept under extreme guard, and a place where countless nameless inmates risked everything for a taste of freedom. Some succeeded, many failed, but all left behind echoes of defiance against one of the hardest prisons on earth. 8. Libby Prison, USA, Civil War, 1864. In the bitter winter of 1864, at the height of the American Civil War, A Confederate prison in Richmond, Virginia, became the stage for one of the most daring escapes in U.S. history. It was called Libby Prison, a former tobacco warehouse converted into a jail for captured Union officers. Inside its cold, overcrowded walls, more than 1,000 men endured starvation, disease, and despair. But among them were men who refused to wait for fate. In secret, a group of Union officers began to plot an escape, not for one man, but for over 100. Their weapon wasn't guns or bribery, it was a tunnel. From the damp, rat-infested basement of the prison, they began digging. Using knives, spoons, and bare hands, they worked by candlelight, passing dirt in buckets and hiding it beneath floorboards. Day by day, inch by inch, a narrow tunnel stretched outward, 70 feet long, toward freedom. On the night of February 9, 1864, the plan was put into action. 109 Union officers crawled through the suffocating tunnel, emerging beneath a tobacco warehouse outside the prison walls. From there, they slipped into the darkened streets of Richmond. It was chaos, men scattering in every direction, disguising themselves, hiding in barns, and making desperate dashes for Union lines. Confederate patrols scoured the countryside, hunting the escapees. By the end, 59 men successfully reached Union territory, while the rest were recaptured. For those who made it, the escape was a triumph of endurance and ingenuity. For the Confederacy, it was an embarrassment that exposed cracks in their security. The Libby prison escape remains one of the most legendary jailbreaks of the Civil War, a story of courage, grit, and the unbreakable will to be free. On the other hand, prisons like Black Dolphin and Seacut are far more secure than most people realize. But who really knows what kinds of plans are being made behind those prison cell walls? Black Dolphin and Seacut, prisons with no escape. On the border of Kazakhstan, buried under layers of concrete and steel, stands Black Dolphin Prison, Russia's most feared fortress. Home to over 700 of the country's worst criminals, serial killers, terrorists, cannibals. It is a place designed to erase hope. Prisoners here have tried everything, digging at walls, fashioning crude weapons, even bribing guards. But every attempt has failed. Guards patrol in pairs, prisoners are blindfolded when moved, and they march bent at the waist, never knowing the layout of the prison. To this day, no one has ever escaped Black Dolphin. Half a world away, in El Salvador, rises the Seacut mega prison, built in 2023 for the nation's most dangerous gang members. Holding 40,000 inmates, it is one of the largest and most secure prisons on Earth. With 8 watchtowers, 15-foot walls, and constant drone surveillance, Seacut is a city of cages where escape isn't just unlikely, it's impossible. No tunnels, no helicopters, no tricks have breached it. These two prisons, one with a bloody past of failed attempts, the other brand new and untested, share a terrifying reputation. They are escape-proof fortresses, where the outside world may as well be another planet. From secret tunnels carved in silence to uprisings that shook the walls of history's most secure prisons, these escapes prove one thing. The fight for freedom never dies. Some made it, most didn't. But every attempt left behind a story of courage, cunning, and desperation. And this is just the beginning. More prisons, more mysteries, and more untold stories await. If you enjoyed this journey into the world's most dangerous prisons, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the next unbelievable escape.